Went into it with no experience in television whatsoever, and made a tremendous number of mistakes for the first year. I mean, still make mistakes every year, but I think, but hopefully learning as we go and improving things. But we just didn't have any production experience, so we came in kind of knowing how we wanted to write it, but not knowing anything about the casting process, the editing process, working with visual effects, working with a production designer, all that stuff that you need to know, and it's been a steep learning curve.
They would get behind a project and they would give it a solid commitment.
We'd never produced anything for television before. We'd never produced anything for film or internet or anything. We'd written before, but we never produced. So when we went to George, it was probably like that bluff where you mistakenly think you have a straight and you actually don't. But we were so confident that I think we convinced George that, well, these guys seem like they really know what they're doing.
I said, I want it done. I want a faithful adaptation of the books. And they said, that's what we want to do.
Uh-huh. Well, we'll see how that went. Anyway, hopefully we won't have too bad of a time this week. We're mostly talking about decently okay stuff, but allow me to bring my guests first. My running co-host.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, how's it going?
Pretty good. That is the absolute best intro to this series.
Yeah,
God.
Kind of is. Yeah. The best part is it's what they have said about themselves, which is kind of amusing to me. Anyway, please welcome the White Dragon.
Why did I get resurrected for this?
Because pain. And the word is pain.
The current Wolf Lord of the Space Wolves is Logan Grimnar, also known as the Old Wolf. He rules from the Hall of the Great Wolf, together with his Wolf Lords such as Herald Deathwolf, Eagle Iron Wolf, and Bjorn Stormwolf.
All I got out of that was wolf, 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 and wolf.
The Space Wolves are incredibly uninspired.
And why'd you give the other part? And why'd you give the best spot to Dwight?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, this will do nothing to stop my horniness.
Down puppy.
Just don't hump my leg.
I won't. I'm not like that.
Calm down, dog.
No, I will get Dragon Glass.
Hey, that is a kindness, not a punishment. Not here.
Yeah.
And I'll use it on myself then.
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna give you a secret release of Undeath.
So we're on chapter 10. I think it seems as though basically what we're going to be talking about is Jaime Lannister season 3 and the Red Wedding.
After all these years, someone finally got my species correct. We mean to tell me that you thought... Wait, how do people confuse you for... How do people not get you that you're a moth?
I don't know. Okay. So... this should be relatively easy to get through, I think. It's not... it shouldn't be too bad. It seems like it's mostly just going to be, talking about, season 3. But, yeah. Anyway, so... basically, just a little bit of... first thing starts off kind of, talking about Nikolai Coster-Waldau took a break after filming. It's a rainy day. One of pretty but he seemed to be, but he seemed to really have enjoyed the day's work, even after he had had a long day. But he actually said of it, I actually really like it. I don't mind having physical obstacles because it makes it easier to forget about the acting. You don't want to think about the lines, you want to be in the moment. The hardest scenes are sitting around a table talking. Interesting.
So he finds dialogue hard.
No, not necessarily. It's kind of the notion that like being in the mud, like kind of like being in the moment, like you're kind of feeling like you are your character. It's kind of the method acting principle, where like somebody like Daniel Day-Lewis will get into character by like really living as his character because he finds it easier for him. It's kind of the same principle. So like one thing that he did when he was doing Last of the Mohicans, he would like live out in the woods in a tent, kind of being his character Hawkeye for that movie. He did the same thing with Lincoln and for Gangs and I think it was a mobster movie. I forget which.
Huh.
It's kind of just it's a particular school of acting. It's like kind of like Meister acting, method acting, classical acting. It's very much like where like Meister acting is basically you are couching your performance in such a way to draw out the performance from the other person, who's up across from you. Like you know the other person James Gandolfini is an example of this, where he will say, like, he will couch his tone in a way that he knows will annoy the other actor into a good performance or draw out the performance of the other actor. And classical acting is just kind of thinking in terms of trying to understand your character's motivation and stuff like that and portraying that on screen. Method acting is trying to think of a similar experience in your own life and applying that to the character, the acting, so you can kind of get into it. This seems like it's like how the Battle of the Bastards was enforced method acting, where Kit Harington was exhausted in Bedraggle because they filmed it in chronological order. So by the end, he is legit exhausted. That's kind of just how that works. Which that one's fine. I just question the logic of filming it in order. I just think that's a really, really just that was not a normal way, and it ended up biting them in the butt. I think what he's saying is the hard. Yeah, I think the hardest thing, like what he's saying about the hardest scenes are sitting around a table talking. It's basically just like there's nothing to get him into the moment. He's just sitting there, and like there isn't really like as much engagement per se.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So, October 2012, he was chained in the mud again, but at least this time he had company since he was paired up with Gwendolyn Christie, like just as his partner, because he's captor turned fellow captive by Vienna Tarth. Christie. Okay, this is interesting. Christie displayed her bound wrist and happily beamed at the visitor. I can only shake hands with my eyes, she said.
What?
So, Gwendolyn Christie is she's interesting. If you've seen interviews, she's very sweet and very nice, but sometimes she just kind of says eccentric things, like she asks, like, what would you do if you had Captain Phasma's like armor? She said, I would probably use it as an oven to bake something.
Huh.
What?
I took that as baking someone. in the armor somehow.
No, like she said, like I would like put it out on the beach in the sun and use it to like fry eggs or something.
Yeah, you know that.
Hmm.
I wonder what
If-
chromium plated eggs taste like.
Yeah, I like Gwendolyn Christie. I think she's a really good actress, but sometimes like the things she says, like question mark. Shake hands with
Yeah.
my eyes. I can only shake hands with my eyes is just one of at least 3. I think Mahler has a good number of them in across like his Force Awakens. I think Force Awakens Part 1. Like Jamie was first introduced in the series career, then Brienne came in season 2. It wasn't really third season until they came into focus. That makes sense. Just like Ygritte showed new signs of Jon Snow, Jamie and Brienne got each other out of their respective emotional armor, as he puts it. Okay. So behind the scenes, Castor Waldau and Christie's relationship mirrored Jamie and Brienne to a degree that was surreal and hilarious to witness. So the duo would trade scathing insults mixed with occasional and seemingly reluctant admissions of profound respect, but they got up to a bumpy start the day they first met. Okay. So she was Gwendolyn Christie. I was hugely shy and fallen in love with the character. I'd also watched the show and had never really been involved with a show I'd already watched, so this was a new experience to me. I saw Coster Nikolai and how imposing he was in the first season. I felt very intimidating. Then, on my first days of filming, I was told Nikolai was in the makeup truck and I should go say hello. I didn't want to because I felt so shy. They said, "Don't worry, I'm sure he'll be nice." So I walked in and I said, "Hello, my name is Gwen," and then I'm playing Brienne. He just looked up and down. He just looked me up and down like I was an alien from another planet, possibly a pile of manure, and said, "Oh, so that's you, isn't it?" I felt really uncomfortable. I said, "Yeah," and he said, "Okay." Then he went back to looking at himself in the mirror. I felt awful.
You felt awful because he is vain? What?
Well, it's just the he was in the makeup truck getting like worked on. So I imagine like he had to look back at the mirror because it's awkward for the like for the person to, it's slightly awkward if your head isn't straight forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like when you're in a haircutting salon. Yeah. It's same principle. So like, he's like, yeah, I think that the main problem is like they just forgot to mention the makeup artist or something. Makes sense. Oh, I don't disagree. It's just sometimes interesting statement. It is very amusing.
I want to compile a list of all the weird eccentric stuff she said, so I'm feeling down. I can read that list and start laughing.
Yeah. I am very much into the merch, but I would very much like that Captain Phasma car. Nikolai, she had this whole story about me being very rude to her when we first met. I don't remember that at all. Gwendolyn Christie, he has denied this! Exclamation part. He has denied it publicly. He has denied to my face in private, but when he denies it privately, he laughs. Nikolai can have an incredibly selective memory. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, hey, so we and him have something in common.
Yeah. So Nikolai, I do remember she was very upset about having to get her haircut for the part. I'm such an insensitive guy. I probably don't understand how upset she was about the loss of her hair and made some super joke and that clearly left an internal mark on her, so she keeps bringing it up over and over. Oh, this is just kind of sweet. So the next day they're shooting. The thing that he said to Kirsty was, "Do you know your lines?" And I said, "Good morning." And he said, "Do you know your lines?" I snapped back, "Yes, I know my lines. Do you know your lines?" They got into a van and to go onto the set and start bickering. We were annoying each other, but it was both making us laugh. It was vacillated between quite savage and very entertaining. So I asked, "Are you Method?" And I said, "No, I'm not Method. Are you Method? Because if you are, this is going to be exhausting." So, and I said, I do what I like." He was really winding me up, and then he said, "This is going to be good." Oh, okay. So that's the title of the chapter. That's where this comes in. Interesting. So there was something about him that made me know he wasn't being serious, and that set the tone. Nikolai, we both agreed to the annoyance of everyone around us that we would just fall into those two characters. There's a constant carrying on of the banter between Jamie and Brienne on and off the set. Okay. He tormented and tortured me. He did it in the evening. He did it at social events. He did it first thing in the morning. He did it when I was outside my trailer. Nikolai, Gwen is sharp as a razor and very funny. She cut me down, and I unsuccessfully tried to get back at her. It just seems like there's so much banter. It's really interesting. So he said to me while we were sitting at a truck having our hair done, it makes him seem very unintelligent. He lets himself down.
What the?
Like letting your hair down.
Phrasing!
Yeah.
Phrasing!
Not necessarily.
God,
He said, "You look like one of the dogs from Beverly Hills Chihuahua that I watched with my
what? What?
Hippity hoppity, I'm stealing that insult.
Oh man!
I hereby dub that insult now mine by legal right of hippity hoppities.
Okay, basically, this is just hilarious. He said like to her while they were getting their hair done that Nikolai's customer, Waldo, the guy who plays Jamie Lannister, said to Gwendolyn Christie, the lady playing Brienne of Tarth, that you look like one of the dogs from Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's so stupid.
Well, whatever you said, it now belongs to me. After all the things in the world. After all, to quote the world's oldest bully, your things are my things as well.
Yeah, I'm just like, poor dude. I've watched Beverly Hills Chihuahua. That's a really annoying movie. Like it's just like standard kid. It's just standard kids movie, panderously awful to sit through. And Gwendolyn Christie's response: "Every person involved with this production thinks you're an idiot." It's just so they're just like bantering back and forth. It's so lovely. Okay, so however, when it got to the performance, they actually did get serious. An early standout was when Jamie gets his hand on a sword and tries to kill Brienne to get free, and it was particularly memorable to Gwen because she trained for months to prepare for her first combat scene. Nikolai, I was Gwen, so he's very adept at sword fighting. Learned to fight very quickly, maybe in an hour, and went off to Denmark. It took me much longer. Brienne obviously is supposed to have great skill and stamina and energy, so there was a lot of work that she had to do. She trained for months. I trained for months. I mainlined protein. Okay. So Dan Weiss, we talked for 25 minutes about creatine and whether or not you should use it.
What?
Creatine. I imagine that's some kind of steroid / protein. Allow me to look that up. Creatine.
Creatine?
It's a protein. It's a supplement, protein brand. It's a chemical compound.
You know what that should have been? There should have been a fucking footnote.
Yeah. Well, it's basically just like it's just a side note, which is just kind of interesting.
No, because they had to keep it for shit it was.
Seriously, seriously, it's like you could have just put a little footnote right there, explain what the hell creatine is. Yeah, you decided to to waste your only 2 footnotes on stuff that we do not need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, just saying, like, I wonder whether she was nude in the books. Footnote, she was. Okay. Also, just like the whole thing about apparently like Gwendolyn Christie and Dan Weiss talked for 25 minutes about creatine and whether or not you should use it, and it's just like, okay, that was that was funny, I guess, but
Is that another question of drugs? Should you or should not use, or should you not partake?
yeah. Unlike many of the fights in Thrones, it wasn't about winning or survival, but it was just giving the viewers not only about winning or survival, but it was also about giving viewers new insight to the characters. So, ooh, that's interesting. So she read the book. So apparently she read in the book, this sword fight was sensational because it told the story of the start of the relationship that is so many different things. For Brienne, she's fighting because she has to. She doesn't want to kill him, and she thought that was very interesting because you're not used to seeing fights that are about thrill. You're used to seeing fights that are about thrill or achieving power. With Brienne, the fighting is always about enacting justice. For Jaime Lannister, it's about asserting status, and Brienne is pulling him down to that stage. She's telling him who's boss. Okay. The fight also showed their personalities. Brienne's much more straightforward and steadier, with a lot of strength. His style is quick, mercurial, and devious. It was an illustration of their characters and their natures, and would fill each other out. Jaime's surprised that Brienne's not fighting for her life. She's an honorable woman, made a promise to go to King's Landing. It was also a very different fight because I was still tied at my hands. That makes sense. That works. Very impressive that he was able to do that. So Daniel Minahan apparently reigned for quite a while, for several days. It's on this beautiful bridge, the art department covered in turf. It became like walking on peanut butter. It was extremely viscous and slippery, so the actors had to navigate that, like fighting on a banana peel. Yeah, it's interesting that he chose that choice of words. It's fine. Like, just rain happens, and it looks like they were careful enough, so let's not.
I wouldn't have said peanut butter. Peanut butter is sticky.
Yeah, hence viscous. Maybe it's just, yeah, I don't really like under. Yeah, the metaphor.
I don't think peanut butter is the right word.
I'm pretty sure you could use a couple of adjectives. You don't need to use peanut butter as in.
No, you don't need to use food as adjectives.
Yeah.
I think
stick to letting Smud make those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I think a better way to say it would have been slick.
Or, well, it's like, it said like this, they walked on peanut butter. If you're going to use a food metaphor, I think basically part of it is just like, this is a primary source of his, that he's putting in every primary source he can to make this as authentic as possible.
And all he's doing is proving everyone that dislikes D&D right. Sorry,
Yep.
David. It's kind of, yeah. Sorry, I'm dumb arse and dumb fuck.
You can use dip crap and dumb arse.
Dip crap and dumb arse.
Mm-hmm.
There are several things I can utilize.
Yeah. So Gwendolyn Christie, she really loved that fight. She found her inner Butch. Okay.
Why?
So.
What? Inner Butch?
Yeah.
Inner Butch? Seriously?
Yeah.
That word. I do not think that word means what you think it means.
What? Yeah, let me make sure I'm looking at this right.
Oh my god. Inner Butch.
I'm trying to look. I don't.
Okay, hang on. Well, I'm
trying to see. I don't.
Okay.
Right.
Butch is.
It's another term for
I
Just a
have the
hardcore
definitions
lady.
here.
Yeah.
The definition: a woman or girl, especially a lesbian or transgender woman, who embraces identity markers that are associated with traditional expressions of masculinity as clothing, hairstyle, interests, or behaviors. B. A gay man who embraces the identity markers associated with being normally a man. C. Any person who adopts a masculine appearance, manner, or persona.
That works. I think
So,
that's fine.
that means that right
I think
now-
that's fine.
Mhm.
I think that's fine. It doesn't make it. I think that works fine. Like she felt like making herself larger and stronger. Like she really felt a strength in her jaw and pushed her jaw forward, and I felt the power in that. Interesting. I took great pleasure in being physical and not trying to appear dainty or sexual. Just being overtly strong and pulling this difficult, irritating man back down to the level of prisoner. Nikolai and I really got to know each other during that, and he said, "Gosh, you really worked hard on this." And David Benioff, Gwen was really happy when Nikolai said, "Can you hit me 10% less hard?" Yeah. That is true. Yeah. Gwendolyn Christie is Gwendolyn Christie is very much kind of a girly girl in a lot of ways. And like she's really cool. Like she's really nice. Like she probably is one of the nicest people on planet Earth. She's really cool. And I'm just sad that like Star Wars didn't, and like she's a really good actress because she's like relatively versatile in most of the roles I've seen her in.
Except Star Wars completely and utterly wasted her character.
She wasn't even. It was just a prop most of the time. Kind of like.
Yeah, they mostly just
A
used
prop
her.
for toys!
They used her
You
for.
don't get it. Most of the toys are sold because the
They like the
characters
They
are
look
actually
cool.
people.
I mean,
They're
yeah,
actual
I think
people.
I mean, a lot of people buy Boba Fett. I mean, a lot of people buy Boba Fett toys, and that's just because he looks cool.
Well, yeah.
And I think and apparently like Captain Phasma, just based on the numbers, was the most popular sold toy, which is
They
interesting.
really
to
should have
me.
done more with her. They really, really
Yeah.
should have.
I think that part of that was there wasn't much of a reaction. Like they didn't give themselves time to react. Like Rian Johnson just got the like started writing the script right after Force Awakens came out, and he didn't really have much time to develop it. And like he just kind of went into filming with kind of a half-baked script that could have been easily ironed out.
I mean, Phasma
Because
technically
most
got
of
his
the-
And
wife.
this is why you plan out a trilogy before you ever start picking the cast.
Yeah. We will talk about that another time. But
That's enough content for another stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So further on the road, they got captured by Bruce Bolton's sadistic hunter Locke. One of the most jarring scenes in the show, Locke chops off Jaime Lannister's hand as punishment for trying to bribe him with Lannister family wealth and power. On the day of filming, Waldo was extremely sick with the flu, which added to his character's wariness. That's interesting to know. Okay.
No,
But
if you're sick, you should not be at work. You should be in bed.
Well, I think that like if you decide to act like so long as it's not life-threatening, it's fine. And like the flu isn't that bad, and also like he didn't really have to do much physical stuff. Like he just had to sit there and talk. And I think that it worked out well. So him describing his experience. I was just lying down. Finally, I made it on set. I don't remember much for that scene other than screaming when it was cut off. I looked miserable, and I was. It was one of my few moments of method acting. Huh. David Benioff. David Nutter. Wrong David. Too many Davids.
Yeah.
Yeah, too many Davids. So Nikolai was very impressive to David Nutter. He's into doing it rough and the way it should be, and like getting in the mud and going for it. Perhaps too rough? Question mark is the next paragraph. Interesting. Oh, this is kind of a Lord of the Rings moment. When filming a scene where Locke kicks Jamie as he's writhing on the ground, one blow landed so hard that it broke one of Castor Waldau's ribs by accident. Oh man, that reminds me of that kind of reminds me of when Viggo Mortensen kicked a helmet and he broke his toe.
Yeah,
and so he just didn't realize that the helmet was metal and just yelled out and dropped to his knees. And just,
it didn't enhance the experience.
It did it. He just like instead of like yelling "ow ow ow" my toe, he just knelt, just yelled out in pain and rage and knelt down, and it works for the scene, but it's kind of just "ow, you suffered for your art, my friend." So, but yeah, it's like, and then like this one is just like, okay, when asked about the incident, Custer Waldau shrugged it off. Nikolai just said you couldn't see where he was kicking and misjudged the kick. Well, I'm legitimately impressed. I'm impressed by his resilience and endurance, honestly.
Yeah.
So they get Locke gets Jamie and Brienne to Harrenhal, where Roose Bolton grants the prisoners a respite from their ordeal in the bathhouse. Jamie alarmed Brienne by joining her in the steaming tub, naked and uninvited. It's a key scene from the book Storm of Swords, where Castor Waldau had looked forward to shooting for years. Okay. So, oh yeah, because it's real. So for the first time in 2 seasons, for the first 2 seasons, Jamie was building up to the scene in the tub. It was very important that for the character to become more than a moralless, grounded, one-dimensional character. That's how he survives, using his arrogance and fighting styles and the fact that he's a Lannister. So they went deep into Brian Cogman. They went very deep into the night shooting it. Turns out shooting in a bathtub is kind of hard, and the actors being vulnerable like that, they both didn't have clothes on, and they had to go to very emotional places during a long scene that had a lot of coverage. Okay, well, it's fine. They agreed to it. It's probably fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And they don't show stuff. They don't it's like back the leg or something, like back the leg or butt. It's not gratuitous like most of the stuff is.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. But
Yeah,
then if it wasn't going to be that kind of scene, then why the hell did they have to get naked?
Because they're in a bathtub. So, yeah. I think it's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, yeah, it's because in universe they don't have undergarments or stuff like that, and most of the time they're just like chest deep in water. So it's only at one moment where she stands up and nothing else and it's just her back, and I just go back into the water and nothing else. So yeah. So that's kind of the thing. So
another thing I don't like, gratuitous nudity. Ugh.
Yeah, there are worse. There
Spartacus.
are much worse. Even with it, well, I'm just thinking even within the show, there's way worse gratuitous nudity. It's basically just it's one of HBO's ways of kind of appealing to normies is
gratuitous nudity.
Yeah, it's one of the selling points of what makes HBO.
But
They
that's
do have
not what normies want. If normies want porn, they go to Pornhub.
well, kind of like they don't want to go. Well, they don't want to go to porn. They want to have at least like convince themselves that there's some measure of substance to it.
Gratuitous nudity does not equal substance.
Well, it's paired with other things, with a story. Like that's the thing that they like. I think, like it's like I think like Shane Geiger, who dubious gauge of quality. He's like, good TV has intrigue, mystery, sex, violence. That's kind of his assessment, and that's, I think, like the normie perspective. So we have another guest.
Valerian,
Hello,
why don't you
Count Valerian.
stop sinking the budget? We can only afford so much.
I just always imagine a cat driving Drogon.
Yeah.
No, in fact, okay, wait. Now we're broke. We can't afford it anymore. You
God damn
stick
it.
too much of the budget with just that clip.
Yeah, don't look at me. I haven't done that too.
Is this what we spent the entire budget like in the first day of filming or something?
Well,
you blew the budget
this season.
Well, the thing is,
You had
well,
it. You blew it. You blew it.
I'm excited to see kind of like in season 8 where they take. Yeah, we were 2 weeks before the finale. We finished up CGI for that episode
because we had to change everything because we made a split-second decision. Change everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Evil
Yeah.
Danny was another split-second decision.
Yeah. It's kind of just, and it's just a decision that makes them worse.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
So it was one of so the bathtub scene for Nikolai was one of the best one. It was best days on Game of Thrones, both for himself and Gwen. It was a long day, and you're in the water, and there's a lot of obstacles. So Alex Graves, the director, who I'll reiterate, I don't like this man. He seems kind of like a frat boy in a lot of ways. Because, like, jokes about, like, oh, you're going to get a love interest next season, Sansa. I'm like, oh, that's not cool, dude. Don't do stuff like that. That's not okay. He's also kind of an incompetent cinematographer, but maybe we'll get to that at another point. Yeah. So he said to David and Dan at the time, Jay and Brienne are falling in love, right? They always give you as little information as possible. They said, yeah, but they don't know it. Okay. Beginning of the scene, Jaime is rude to the Brienne as he usually is. Then after one insult too many, she stands up to facing, exposing herself. When Brienne stands up naked in front of him, it's an act of defiance. It's not all gratuitous. She's angry. She wants to get out of there, but he's in the way. That moment, she realizes the power for womanhood without the armor, without fighting, without killing one. And she's opposite with this man that she has a complex relationship with. He saved her from being brutally raped, and she still can't understand him, and he pushes her in that moment. Okay. So many parts of Gwen's life she struggled with, so that so many millions of others have struggled with, about being an outsider, about feeling ugly, about wanting to overcome looking different. She kind of identified that with her character because Brienne overcomes her own issues about her own femininity, vulnerability, and gender, and finds the power of not only be what it means to be a woman, but who she is as a woman. After that, nothing is the same again. Okay. Yeah. So, what?
I'm sorry. Have we yet covered why they had Jaime randomly kill his cousin?
They've skipped over that.
They skipped
They gotta skip over the hard questions.
Yeah, they skipped a lot of stuff, and we seem to have lost Wolf,
Oh
unfortunately.
no.
No,
Oh, well.
But yeah, I don't know why they decided to do that. Ah, he's back. Oh, lovely.
I didn't say anything mean to you while you were gone. Don't worry.
Not very much anyway.
Okay, so my internet shat stuff on me.
So I think, yeah, I don't know why they decided to change that. I think basically like the only thing that we have is basically just they didn't they didn't think that the audience would fully get the like why some phrase were fighting with the crown and why some phrase were not fighting with the crown. Because like Tion Frey, they kind of just made up Alton Lannister to kind of just keep continuity of sides, I think.
So why
At least in the audience mind.
Why did he kill him?
I don't know. I think the reasoning put in the show is basically to make it so that the guard would come in so that he could kill him.
Yeah.
Just as a way of drawing the guard into the thing in order to break things up.
Well, I'll explain why they never bring up the fact he killed his own kin.
Yeah, they don't discuss. They actually don't discuss kinslaying in the show at all.
Despite it being a very serious crime. Period.
Yeah,
It's always been a serious crime. Just at Abel. Sorry, ask Cain.
Yeah, they don't. But in terms of just a cultural context, it's brought up frequently in the books, but it's never a thing in the show. So I don't think the main thing that are brought up as sins in the show is mainly incest and kind of just incest, homosexuality, vice, which is just greed in general. They don't really mention kinslaying as like a moral failing, or at least like an accursed thing, at least as far as I can remember. Do any of you guys remember kinslaying being brought up in the show? Because I don't.
No.
Not
It's been
offhand.
too long since I actually purposely watched the show.
They called him Kingslayer, but never Kinslayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, Alex Graves. So Jamie and Brienne have every reason to hate each other, yeah, but they can't get around the respect that they have for each other. It's a great sexless story about who people are. Jamie is affected by the woman who is like himself instead of being like Cersei, the only one he's ever known. So the person overwhelmed in the scene isn't Brienne, but Jamie. Nikolai, regarding Jamie, never met anybody like her. He saw himself in her. His whole life was about secrets and not being able to trust anyone. Okay. So, displaying good understanding of the character. Brienne's reaction caused Jamie to do something we'd never seen him do before, which was apologize. Okay. He then revealed to stunned and speechless Brienne the true backstory of his most infinite act, killing the Mad King, and how he saved the populace of King's Landing by betraying his Kingsguard oath. Both of the characters doing the same thing, doing the one thing they found most difficult in the world. For Brienne, being physically vulnerable. For Jamie, emotionally vulnerable. Okay. Okay. So Nikolai, kind of like regarding Jamie. Jamie has this pride that he's refused to talk about. What he feels
Lord Crackett said that Jamie and Tyrion do discuss the act of kinslaying in season 4.
Okay, and that's it. But it's not. But it's not in terms of it as a crime. They're just talking about there's patricide and there's regicide. What is it? What is cousin killing called? It's mainly a joke.
Yeah, let me find it right quick. Okay.
Yeah.
Parricide. Parricide. Parricide means killing any kinsman.
Oh, parasite?
Yeah.
And patricide is killing your daddy.
And matricide's killing your mommy.
Yeah.
Yes. Uxoricide is your wife, and so on.
Yeah. But it's like, it's mainly like, it's not saying like you're cursed if you're a kinslayer. It's basically just like, it's just it's just a funny discussion that leads into a guy like talking about their cousin who was touched in the head, slamming rocks against the ground, against some beetles and killing it.
Oh,
They never did find out why he was doing it.
No, they didn't. I think that's probably an in-world metaphor for George. Maybe. I don't know. So regarding Jamie, he has this pride where he refused to talk about what he feels is this immense injustice, about what happened to him with the Mad King. His pride prevents him from saying, by the way, and finally you see him open up. Alex Graves, we did a very long, slow push in on him during that speech, but the camera crane started making this horrible wheezing noise like every 10 seconds the camera moved in.
Yeah, they just talk about the different names for kids saying no real substance to it. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, you can't really ask those two for substance.
Yeah.
Substance and David and Dan don't go well together. It's like after you have your meal shat on.
Mm-hmm. So apparently it didn't do the squeaking in rehearsal. It was interesting. He phrases it, it was so evil. No one could figure out how to make it stop. And Nikolai said, I don't want to loop the scene later, so let's go for it. So Nikolai learned the pattern of sound and acted around it. Okay. That's actually very clever. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. It was really the actor going, I'm going to do this, and nothing is going to stop me. Okay. Brian Cogman, I distinctly remember the take of him yelling, by what right does the wolf judge the lion? It was one of the most transcendent moments where the actor just disappears. I would concur with that. It's a very, very good line, a good moment. I agree. Gwen, when I think about it retrospectively, I was incredibly lucky to work with Nikolai. He empowered me as an actor. He never made me feel insecure or insignificant because of my lack of experience, and certainly never because of my gender. I was treated as an equal, even though he was the actor with the bigger role and more experience. He recognized I worked hard at it, made me unafraid to push him too. It was incredibly enjoyable, and I have to swallow here because a bad taste came into my mouth. He's actually very talented. Oh my gosh. I love the ball busting that's going on here. It's amazing. So, and that's the end of chapter 10. That was quick.
Too shabby.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Not too bad, that one.
Yeah. Okay, so chapter 11. Yeah, that was only like 48 minutes to cover an entire chapter. That's very short.
Yeah.
I think we can do another chapter then.
Yeah, that was the
because
plan.
it wasn't really cancerous.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the plan. You don't always have a plan.
Do I look like a guy with a plan?
I don't know. Because I always expected one of the DMs of the campaign of playing out everything and controlling our lives.
I need to get that. Do I look like a guy with a plan?
Yeah, you look like a guy with a plan. You're a 1,000-year-old vampire. You already have a plan. You plan on everything.
So did the Night King. He was like 3,000 years old. He never had a plan.
I just plan out my books. That's the main thing I plan out.
I pull out my card of bullshit.
Yeah.
I was expecting you rating the entire series of events.
You know, I actually have a lot. I actually have something.
Yeah. Survey says that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it. I don't believe it. I believe that Dunn here is actually you're some elder god that's descended to the planet. In service of an ancient god.
If only.
I firmly 100% believe it.
So, okay. So, Capillarian, you got something to say?
The Dunchap is Cthulhu?
Oogla boogla.
So when are we going to get to the good stuff? That's the real question.
Yeah.
So that's the point.
For
I don't know.
the new people who have never heard me say my age, how old do you think I am, just based on my voice?
400 millennia years old.
30s?
Closer.
Incorrect. Closer, but incorrect.
You are in your 20s.
What the? No way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm almost 25.
Oh dear.
I still believe you're some age old. I believe that you're one of
25,000. He meant to say.
Why did you think I was Why did you think I was 30s?
I don't know. I figured you're young, but not that young.
I still suggest that you're one of Dracula's former vampire cousins.
I've accomplished a lot over my 24 years, I'd say. That's
you 24,000 years of planning, constant tinkering, and ensuring that you can uphold all to the plan of great old Draki.
Yeah. I've been able to publish. I've published 11 books so far, and I'm hoping to get out another 5 next year.
Do you know what's scary? You probably don't remember a time before the World Wide Web existed. That's really scary.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine it.
Yeah, 1995.
It existed.
BC.
Yeah, it existed. Yep. I remember the days when computer paper was this big, bulky stuff. You never actually saw a computer. You just saw this computer paper. It was this big, bulky stuff, and we were scribbling. I never
really used computers where I lived. We didn't really have
Brandon Sanderson's not that old. He's only 44.
44,000.
Yeah, I'm in my mid-50s, so yeah, kind of.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yep, I was exactly right.
I guessed much from his appearance.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson's. Brandon Sanderson is like really young to have put out so many books and being in so many different genres and styles and being really, really successful with most.
At least some ancient deity, obviously. We must have forgotten that he was. Obviously, he's down here to punish us for. He's obviously here so we can all look for a better example to writing. So he's the ancient god of writing that we forgot about.
Yeah.
He was there. He was there when writing was first invented. He was the one that invented writing.
Yeah, you should read his books. I'd be interested to see what you think of Mistborn. It's a post-apocalyptic fantasy heist movie. Heist book.
I will be reading that after the Stormlight Archive.
Woo!
Don't now have to wait, because you recommended literally any book that Brandon Sanderson has ever written. So that means I have to go far back in time to find the first book.
Oh no, you don't have to start with his first book.
Yeah, his first book is Elantris, and I don't know. I think it's really good, but it's definitely not his best work. I think his best work is Stormlight, but he always advises people to start with Mistborn.
Mm.
And the only reason he does that is because Stormlight has a whole crapload of stuff going on at the same time. And there's a whole lot of plot threads that you need to keep track of.
Another thing with Stormlight is unusual. Sorry about the tangent, folks, but basically it kind of breaks some of the rules of conventional storytelling, where you don't get the main character's perspective for 2 to 5, somewhere between like 3 and 4 chapters. You don't meet the main, like the prologue is relatively unconnected to the major story. The next bit of the prologue is not with the main character, then another perspective not with the main character. It takes a while for you to
I don't see the problem with that.
Yeah. It's just like usually audiences like to be introduced to the protagonist quickly.
Problem Director EXE has found nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I never really read that much. Like I usually listen to audiobooks, but I think I might pick up a book. Maybe. I think the first book I might actually get is A Night to Remember. I think that might be my first one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like if you want to like just have a long book to listen to that will like last you for a while, pick up Way of Kings. Way of Kings is really good. It's like 47 hours long. So
no, actually, it's more like 60 something.
Yeah, Stormlight's got some really good illustrations. I love the artwork in the Stormlight Archive book. Maybe we'll once Neph is done, we'll kind of go through some of the artwork.
You would be surprised. From what I've heard, it would be surprised how much they copied from Titanic 97 copied from.
Sorry. We're on a tangent. We're kind of just taking a break before we get into chapter 11.
No, Nihilist, don't be a nihilist and quit. We're back. We're going back on track now.
Yeah. So the Red Wedding. So before we kind of start, Neph Champion watched. So let's kind of go around the room and kind of talk about what happened. At least our initial reactions. I actually read about it on Wikipedia.
Oh.
In the book before the show. At least read about it on. This was actually around season 3, episode 2's release. So I read it on Wikipedia, basically about it happening in the books. So I assumed it was going to happen, and my immediate reaction was, "Oh, that's terrible." But the thing that was the worst bit was cutting off Robb Stark's head and sewing his Direwolf's head in its place as kind of a mockery of the King in the North. I was like, "Wow, that's
the young
disturbing."
Wolf.
And
Yep.
then when I when that happened on when I just kind of started watching the show, at least clips of it based on what I saw, and then I was like, okay, that's one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen on a TV screen. Ouch.
Yep.
But we didn't watch that yesterday. But for the first time, Neph got to see it. So what were your... Well, actually, let's go in a circle and end with Neph. Wise Wolf, for you, what were your first reactions to the Red Wedding? What was your reaction to the Red Wedding the first time you watched it? Or what was your experience with it?
Don't remember.
Okay.
Okay. I literally have my memory is extremely selective, so I actively tend to forget shit. You could be talking to me over a phone call and immediately forget what the hell you were talking about.
Yeah. And also the chat can say what your first experience with the Red Wedding, since a lot of people say both books and show, it was shocking.
Well, the thing is, I don't know what it plays, but I was spoiled.
Okay, so you're
It was.
Yeah,
I get. What about you, Perion? Were you?
Well, what happened with me was I watched the first 2 seasons of the show. Then I read the books. So I read I think I read all of them by season 3. Is the Red Wedding season 3 or 4? I think it's 3, right?
Yeah, it's the end of, it's the climax.
So by the time I knew it was coming, but the thing with me is that the quality of the video was really bad. It kept buffering, so it kept going. Silence for seconds. Silence for several seconds. So I didn't quite get the same impact. In the books, it's really weird because you're not sure what's going on, and Catelyn is acting all weird and following this chap out of the hall and attacking him. And what is going on here? And then because it's total shock in the books, but then afterwards it seems you understand. It seems when you read it, it seems inevitable, but it was a total shock at first.
White Dragon.
Well, I think I might be the only one who never seen that coming.
You never.
I was a casual TV show viewer at the time. Oh my god, I was not prepared for that. I'm like, they can't do that.
Even after Ned Stark died in the first season?
No, because I was still somewhat casual. So I was like, okay, they'll kill him off, but they can't kill that for sure. They can't kill these guys off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, they killed them all.
Yeah.
But that was really unexpected because, like I said, I never read the books or anything at that time.
Yeah.
I made a joke saying I made a joke when Judd said that Walter takes insults very personally. It's like, you should see what happened to the last guy who called him an old coot.
Yeah. Neph, we had a weird experience. We had kind of a different experience where basically we just watched all of Robb Stark's scenes up to and including the Red Wedding yesterday.
Yes.
So you didn't like it very much, just like, or at least
I could not get invested in any of the characters that were on screen. I could not.
Yeah.
They're dying.
They're like this. It's considering how it ended, you probably couldn't even get invested in the first place.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you were there. I was silent for a couple of minutes after it all happened.
Yeah.
And the silence was shock, because even though I was not invested in any of these people, Robb had proven to me by that point that even with the stupid romance that should not have been there, that he'd proven to me that he was a man of his word, and especially since he went and did exactly what the person he'd accidentally
offended
asked of him. So he'd proven that one choice he made, the choice which was supposed to be a choice of honor, was an aberration, and had she not come onto him at his weakest point, he wouldn't have done anything. He'd not have married her, and he'd have married one of the princesses that his hand was promised to. And the guy kills him. What? No, he's just proven to you that he will keep his word when he is not compromised somehow.
Well, it's kind of more just like he's deliberately like playing on the fact that this kid is honorable. He's mainly just like killing him as like a response to the insult to his family. He's also been egged on by the bad guys. Like, this has been a coordinated plan by Tywin Lannister to say, alrighty, I can't quite beat this kid in the field. I need to get him off of the field and kill him in a controlled environment.
What other way than a wedding?
Yeah, it's.
Have you seen any Charles Dance's moments in the TV show?
I don't think we've done any of the Tywin stuff.
Tywin is
no,
smart,
I don't think so.
Tywin is smart, but he's also kind of stupid evil.
Well, he basically doesn't. He thinks about more. I think he overestimates the long-term gains of what he does.
Yeah,
he's able to very quickly calculate short-term gains and does them without hesitation, no matter how morally reprehensible they are. But he underestimates certain things like loyalty.
I'd like to put a side note.
Walter wouldn't have done anything with the reassurance of Tywin Lannister and the support of Roose Bolton.
I want to bring out the point that this is the point where they wanted to Dave Bainoff and D.B. Weiss.
They really wanted to do this.
Yeah, and everything else they're just going to throw off to the side afterwards.
They dug the door plot, then shoved it in season 5. But not even for the right reasons. It's mostly because we thought the Paramour was hot.
Yeah.
And the rest of us who were casuals like me at the time were fooled by it because we still thought the characters were characters, and
we
were duped into thinking they were heading somewhere with this show.
Oh, thou sweet summer child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, now that we've kind of discussed like our kind of reactions to it, I think it's kind of an interesting range here across the board. It's definitely different than a lot of things. Each of our experiences was very different. Like I think like we just the quality of everybody's like it makes sense, but it's kind of our individual emotional reactions are very different.
But I can't even remember my reaction.
Yeah.
I'm not joking though when I say I don't really remember my reaction. I mean, quite literally, I don't remember it. I remember my reaction to what happened in season 3 of The Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
I got one more show question to ask you.
Go ahead.
Whose death do you care about the most? Like after the Red Wedding, like after season 4 when they took over. After D.B. Weiss and them took over completely.
I cared about John. Admittedly, I cared about Jon Snow. He was my guy.
Can't really remember.
But yeah, let's get started with this.
Okay.
So chapter 11, The Red Wedding. So there are a lot of visceral and existential horrors compressed into the final moments of the season 3 episode, inconspicuously entitled "The Reigns of Castamere." So,
one of the most people here, but Charles Dance. What do you say? The Charles Dance in season 3 and 4 is two of the Crown is to die for. Yeah, I don't know about the Crown. I watched a few episodes of the first season, and I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah. So, So this episode has the death of Robb Stark, the likable hero and avenging son of Ned Stark. He's the handsome leader. Won every battle, yet lost his life for what seemed like a forgivable mistake. Reneging on his pledge to marry Lord Walder Frey's daughter.
Actually, I don't remember when Barristan died.
He died in season 5, episode 3.
What 2? I usually remember character deaths, but here I'm like drawing up blanks at Barristan. Somebody's like, wait, when did he die?
I remember my death the most.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
he died in Alley being killed by those terrorists.
Yeah.
Oh, the Harpies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got killed by a bunch of thugs. The best swordsman in all of Westeros.
I'm so excited to hear them talk about that because just like even the showrunner's comments is just like, this is kind of unprofessional, dude. Like him like sending them an email to like saying, hey, please don't kill my character. I have things more to do in the books. And they said, oh, that just made us want to kill him off even more.
Yeah, it really makes me want to slap him across the face real hard. Yeah. Especially the actor that got Barristan. Oh, those lines could have been so epic. All those chapters we got in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if there's more for the character to do, then there's no reason to kill them.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll mention it in the books. In the book.
Yeah, he's still alive in the books.
Like it really brings into question how legitimate is the rest of this show, like story-wise, into the books.
Not the books. George R. R. Martin's books. This book that we're going over.
No, I mean like how much of the TV show after season 4 are actually going to happen in the books after what they did with Barristan.
For sure, for sure, Dorne, no. Dorne,
I would say about 99.99% of it won't make it into the books.
Because, like, if you are going to admit that you killed off Barristan just because you wanted to, what else did you just change for no reason?
Yeah.
Quite a bit. They changed, for sure, they changed the Ironborn. Euron is...
Hail the mighty, he's arising from the deep.
Yeah.
He's a
Dollar Tree Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me find the lyrics to that shanty right quick.
Not
No.
even Dollar Tree. Let's go with
No.
Discount
No,
Jack
Wolf.
Sparrow.
No, Wolf. Let's keep going.
No.
Aw.
Yeah.
Down, boy.
Yeah.
Only she can say that, not you.
Yeah.
I just did.
Heal.
Sit boy. Insert.
Stay.
Maybe I just need to insert a thing from Inuyasha. Where she says "sit boy" and
Yes.
he gets.
Yes.
Oh my god, I
underground.
forgot about that show.
I forget about it.
So okay, so the next thing is talking about the death of Catelyn Stark, the family's wary matriarch, still grieving over the death of her husband, as well as she mistakenly believed the deaths of her two youngest sons, Bran and Rickon. She's forced to witness Robb's murder, melted down in rage and anguish before getting killed too. It's also the death of Talisa Stark, Robb's healer wife, who was gruesomely stabbed in her pregnant belly, which did not happen in the books. That was definitely there for shock value.
Yeah, it is. That was there just to be, oh my god, it's shock.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they stabbed the pregnant women.
Yeah, which is like normally like that sort of thing. I have only ever seen a pregnant woman killed in one other piece of media, and that is Alien versus Predator Requiem. Which a lot of people, there's kind of a debate that I've seen in the Alien fandom of which is worse, Alien versus Predator Requiem or Alien Covenant, and most people agree that Alien AVPR is worse.
I don't know, one retcons more lore, and the other one's just a bad film that you can pretend does not exist.
Yeah, I think it's mainly just it's nasty. It's a nasty movie.
Because even like the original AVP, at least you had some entertainment value out of that one.
Yeah, AVP is just kind of dumb funny and is mostly like just is trying to be cool. But AVPR is trying to be nasty. Like killing a kid in the first 10 minutes, killing a bunch of pregnant women by having the pred alien face hug all of the face hug all the pregnant women and having the aliens burst out of their stomachs, and then the implied eating of a baby.
Oh.
Where it's like the pred alien is looking down at a crib where a baby is there, and he's like, hello. And it's really just gross.
Okay, I think I saw another. I think there's another piece of media. It's a very bad horror film. I think Cynic Snacks covered it in his horrible Halloween films. Oh, it's the one with the Nazi dolls.
Dear.
Yeah, one who crawls up into a woman tears it out. Oh god, I remember that scene. That scene does not exist.
That's awful, and we will move on.
I was eating yogurt. Thank you. I needed that.
So
I had a stomach. Now I don't have it anymore. You're welcome.
Yeah. Moving on. So it was a sequence. So there was the fact that the sequence took place in the traditionally safe harbor of a wedding, where an occasion we usually associate with friends, family, joyful memories. It was a betrayal too. The Starks were killed not by their enemies, but by people they thought they were allies. There was also Robb's direwolf Greyhound stabbed, whining and helpless in his cage. Tragedy of Arya, who having traveled so far, discovered just outside the Frey Castle that their more of her family was now dead. So the Red Wedding was also horrifying for those reasons. Then the writing, performances, foreboding direction by David Nutter maximize the impact, and from the moment that Walder Frey's musicians play the ominous strings of the Lannister anthem Reigns of Castamere to the moment where Catelyn's throat is cut was only about 6 minutes, yet stays burned in your memory forever. It was an awful and awful. It's awful and horrible, and everything the sequence needed to be, wrote the AV Club's Emily Todd Vanderwerf after the episode airs, and it marks a new high watermark for the series. Okay.
Yes, Nick Brown was the Puppet Master remake. Thank you for reminding access, and you're welcome to Carib. Right back up.
Yeah. Thank you, Wolf.
You're welcome. Please torture my mind some more, and I'll see how depraved I can get.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Boy.
I cannot puke anymore.
Ow!
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Rule of thumb: don't hurt pregnant women. It just comes off as exploitative. Please just don't do it. It's annoying.
It's caddish too.
Dan, it feels like you're trying to be edgy.
Yeah, excuse me while I go hack up a furball. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gross. So, okay, so George R. R. Martin talking about, yes, he tried to. He wasn't able to because of scheduling conflicts.
I wonder what he would have been. Frey
Probably
or
Stark who got killed. Probably just a Stark Bannerman who got killed. Maybe he was,
Like-
Wyman Manderley. That would have been funny.
no, it's like he's some guy trying to write a letter or a book or something. He's like, oh
Nah.
no, I got stabbed.
Nah. No, I think he probably would have died. I think he probably would die with like a leg of mutton in his hand.
No,
He's writing about food.
No, I got a better scene. He was fighting off the soldiers with a whole lamb, and then he just suddenly has a heart attack.
That would have been funny. But I think that would have killed. That would have killed the mood of the scene. That would have been terrible. That would have been awful. It was probably, but just like he was like sitting. He'd probably be like sitting there, and then he got just like fake shot with arrows, probably.
He died with a mutton in his mouth.
Yeah. So George R. R. Martin, I knew I'd kill off Robb Stark almost from the beginning of writing the first book. Not on the first day, but very soon. I like my fiction to be unpredictable. I like there to be considerable suspense. I killed Ned because everybody thought he's the hero, and sure, he's going to get into trouble, but then he'll somehow get out of it. The next predictable thing was that his eldest son would rise and avenge his father. Everyone is going to expect that, so killing Robb became the next thing I had to do. The Red Wedding was based on a couple real events from Scottish history. It was the Black Dinner. The King of Scotland was fighting the Black Douglas clan. He reached out to make peace and offered the young Earl of Douglas safe passage. He came to Edinburgh Castle, and they had a great feast. At the end of the feast, the king's men started pounding a single drum. They brought a covered plate and brought it in front of the Earl and revealed it was the head of a black boar, the symbol of death. As soon as he saw it, he knew what it meant. They put him to death in the courtyard. The larger instance was the Glencoe massacre. Clan MacDonald stayed with the Campbell clan overnight, and the laws of hospitality supposedly applied. But the Campbells arose and started butchering every MacDonald they could get their hands on. No matter how much I make up, there's stuff in history that's just as bad or worse.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I know this stuff happened, but the laws of hospitality are held as sacrosanct.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
believe.
that's also a point.
Don't murder a house. Don't murder a guest you're currently allowing to board. And don't murder the master.
You are.
And don't murder the master to whom shelters you.
Yep.
Unless they are bad guests, then you
These
have
people
to abide by the laws of hospitality.
Well, the thing is, in this case,
As soon as they do something, though, they're free.
Well, history is written. Well, in this case, like it's like the hospitality supposedly applied, but basically, like in history, these people did do that. Like they were guests, and they specifically went in with the intent to murder the people they were staying with. That's why they went in.
At least wait for them to bang one of your daughters first before you start the kill house.
Yeah. But I think the part of it was just like, yeah, and like I've used like one of this idea in one of my own novels but I tried to like change a lot of the context and just figure out a lot of stuff. Yeah. It is difficult history to read about. It's very uncomfortable in a lot of ways.
The rules of hospitality are there for a very good reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Society
people.
thought otherwise.
Yep. But people don't care.
Some people don't.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't care, but it's just like we need a lot of these rules to function as a society. But sometimes there are people that say, "Screw society, I want something."
What's society anyway?
Yeah, we live in a society, don't we? It's the society that made Joker, one of the best film of 2019.
Hey, well,
Why so serious?
Why do you live in a society where anarchists rule?
Yeah.
So, it's not a place I want to live.
Season 8 exists.
Yeah. It was the only, seemed like it was one of the few good movies that came out last year, which I am so sad about.
It's so sad. Why do we have to have such shit movies these days?
Because we can't have anything good. Why else?
Yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Remember Ash versus Evil Dead? I could have swore the board of directors saw it when it was actually good. They're like, cancel that shit immediately. We can't have good things.
Yeah. I need to watch that show. I've never seen the original movies. I would like to, especially Army of Darkness, because apparently Army of Darkness is awesome.
We live in a society where good films are dead.
Watch Evil Dead 2 and then Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 1 is Evil Dead 2 is a better version of Evil Dead 1.
Yeah, I've heard it's like a comedy horror remake of the first one.
First one was
Yeah. So, David Benioff, in the book, when the band started playing Reigns of Castamere, you knew something bad was going to happen. It's the strongest physical reaction I've ever had to reading anything. I didn't want to turn the page. Dan Weiss, the Red Wedding was the thing we told ourselves, if we got to that moment, and if we did it right, did it justice, then the show would be in a pretty good place. The energy that injected into the story would be enough to get us through to the end of the show.
I doubt it.
It somehow did. It did.
Yeah. Okay.
And now there was shock value from there on forward.
Okay.
Shock. Start before my heart explodes.
Okay. This is interesting. This is George R. R. Martin talking about Talisa. Okay.
Valerian, are you alright?
Yes,
Did
sorry.
something happen?
No, I just moved over.
Yeah, I just moved something. Switched to mic. So George R. R. Martin. So Rob's wife in the show was maybe the first major departure from the books. David and Dan changed her backstory completely. In the show, Talisa is a healer from Atlantis and very strong-willed. In the books, Rob marries Jane Westerling, a daughter of a Lannister house he met while campaigning in the West. It's a Florence Nightingale thing where he was wounded and she nursed him back to health. Also, Jane is still alive in the books. My version of Rob was, yeah, it's going to be dangerous going to the wedding. I don't think I'll take my wife with me. They're going to hate her. She's the one I married instead of one of their daughters. I'll keep her at River Run with my uncle guarding her.
Wow, an actual smart decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these two.
My question, was she pregnant?
Maybe.
No. Yeah, I guess. Maybe.
There are conflicting theories. George made a mistake in her description between Feast for Crows and Storm of Swords, where in the third book she's described as having good birthing hips by Catelyn, and then in the fourth one, Jaime thinks she has really thin hips. So, and at first, people thought, oh, they switched out Jane with somebody else. And then George R. R. Martin came out, no, that this is a Doyleist mistake, not a Watson mistake. Sorry.
It's like the horse changing genders between books.
Yeah. But then it's kind of said her mother was feeding her birth control potions disguised as fertility pills. So she's probably not pregnant.
Oh.
So there are theories. It's not been described. It's not been revealed yet, since Winds of Winter is not going to come out for probably another 4 years, making it one of the longest awaited books in history.
That's assuming that George lives those 4 years.
Yeah.
He's not.
It'll be the last half of the series.
I think it's probably the series is probably just going to end after Winds of Winter comes out, because it seems like he's slow at writing, like, which is just like, that's fine.
Yes, as long as we get all the good plot points tidied up, I'll be fine.
There's no way. Feast for Crows introduces a lot of tangents. Same with Dance with Dragons.
Yeah. What bothers me?
Do we really need all that?
I don't know. Part of it was George had to change his original plan from he was originally going to do a 5-year time skip, but then he realized that there's a few pieces that he's missing. So he decided to scrap that and try and fill in the gap.
Yeah, the other problem is that he apparently won't let his manuscripts and stuff be edited after his death, which hopefully his wife will reverse
overturn. Yeah,
because that seems a bit unfair to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wait so long, and then you just give us the middle finger after you die.
Yeah.
Lol, just kidding. We're not going to give you the ending, even if it's a manuscript.
Well, is she going? I thought she was just going to be in the chapter, not the POV. I thought the POV was like the black, like it's not confirmed whether or not who it is, but it's theorized that it's the Blackfish based on the fact that it's got Jane in it and the Blackfish, probably. So, Richard Madden talking about Robb Stark. He read the book season by season. He didn't want to preempt where Robb was going, but 1,000 people spoiled it for me because before I had a chance to pick up the third book, I also made the fatal flaw of Googling. So that reinforced that people were saying something terrible was happening. Saying something terrible is happening and giggling. So Michelle Fairley, the lady playing Catelyn Stark, I know it was happening. Something that anyone who's read the books will talk about. So people took great delight in knowing. There's something incredibly dramatic and brutal about the Red Wedding, the shock of it. I met someone who read it on the plane, and they were so heartbroken that they left the book on the plane. For an actor to be given that part to play, you want to grab it and go straight for it into it. Well, that's interesting. That's a neat little story right there.
Wait. Okay, so Robb's wife was supposed to be a Lannister.
No, a Lannister loyal bannerman. Basically, think like just a person who is like a tiny house that's loyal to the Lannisters. That he besieges their castle. They surrender, but he's injured. She nurses him back to health, and then the horizontal hokey pokey happens.
Do the hokey pokey.
Yeah. Sit.
Ow.
So, yeah. So, Una Chaplin, interestingly enough, she's Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter. Okay. So, Una Chaplin, I know I was going to deviate from the books. I also knew I was going to come to a demise at the end of season 3. I was praying for a cool death, and when I read the script, I was like, dang, everyone dies. But what it was on the page was nothing compared to what it was like on the day of shooting. Okay. Michael Mickelhatton, Roose Bolton. In the books, Roose is a more obvious bad guy. Okay. Yeah, that is true. In the show, that's interesting that Michael read the books. That's a very rare thing. Interesting. In the show, he played these cards close to the vest so the audience wasn't sure. He was a sounding board for Robb for his battles, but Robb wasn't taking Roose's advice and things weren't going well for his family or the Lannisters, or for the Lannisters, so he decided to get rid of him. David Nutter, the director of the episode, the most important part was the surprise element, making sure the audience was involved in the story, and the blocking was important. Several weeks were spent on preparations with a blank piece of paper, doing schematics, figuring out the blocking. On Saturday, he felt like he cracked it and put it on a white chalkboard, like how a football coach would explain stuff to his team. He said to the producers, "This is how I think this table should be. This is where we put our heroes." When I saw the room, I was stunned by it. It would look like a Vermeer painting, according to Michael Mickelhat. It was smaller than you expected, and the ceiling was lower, but the lighting was extraordinary. The Red Wedding had a very unique feel compared to any scene in the series. Yeah.
I was more in the books like all of his age one back saying that Jon Snow and Tim is eyes as a Stark, though I don't think anyone knows it because they're killed in the Red Wedding.
There are a couple people who were there when it was signed that went through Moat Cailin and didn't go to the Red Wedding. It was like half of it, like 3/4 of his army, I think.
So someone will be made aware that, hey, John,
you're
Stark now.
Yeah, you're king in the North, but that's not. I don't know if that's going to happen soon in Winds of Winter. It's probably going to take a while. So
AKA never.
It might even just like after George saw the show, he might just change it and say like, "I'm not going to bring Jon Snow back." That might be the case. He might change it. I know Preston Jacobs wants that to happen, where it's just like that would be a better twist since there's a lot of people up in the North that could drive the story. But yeah, I guess.
Oh, that'll be a big middle finger to Dave and Dan.
Maybe.
Totally explain that away.
Yeah. So the sequence of the twins, the Starks meeting Walder Frey, Edmure's wedding, fateful dinner. It was filmed over the course of a week in Belfast. Okay, that's nice. So they were very fortunate. They had the week to shoot the sequence and did it chronologically as well. So every day we edged closer to the slaughter. Okay. So it seemed as though they were better at... This is actually good time budgeting skills. But it seems as though it wasn't because of David and Dan.
Nope.
Because the time budgeting for Battle of the Bastards was not very good at all.
No, it wasn't. It was terrible.
Also, Dorne's time budgeting was not very bad because they had to make their costumers work on the fly and put in, as they put it, subpar work under a lot of stress. Oh, okay, this is interesting. David Nutter said pretty chronological. You can't do it chronologically, but I made sure that the most powerful points were near the end of the shoot. These were beloved characters that everybody loved being around. You want to build up the emotional journey of the sequence. And I think that it's easier to do something with kind of like a scene like the Red Wedding as opposed to the Battle of the Bastards, because the Red Wedding is basically just on a sound stage. Yeah, it was really bad. It was pretty bad.
When did we see this?
A few weeks ago. Voice just finished editing it.
I missed it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's me and Smudcast. So, me, Smudboy, Literature Devil, Shiny FX, and Voice on the Radio all watched Mulan, the remake, together, and it was awful. So, okay, Una Chaplin.
He run up a wall with no climbing equipment.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. So Una Chaplin, like, they'd really become a family during shooting. She hadn't clocked that the end was nigh. She was quite happy disbelief for all the scenes leading up to it. Okay. So they put it the scene out of their minds. Then I go off to Croatia, and a crew member would say, "Oh, this is the last time we'll see you on the show." Damn Weiss, when it came time to shoot, there was a lot of pressure. We had gotten into it, which was great, but given where the show was time in terms of budget, it was a complex thing to shoot and get right. Okay. David Bradley, Filch from Harry Potter, Walder Frey. I liked the script not just because it was so appalling, but it had this vein of dark humor about it. There was Walder's welcoming speech they gave with the bread and salt. He was so friendly and making everyone at home. I knew underneath of it that he could not wait to get his revenge. So, Richard Madden, it was challenging to not hint at anything in my performance, even though I knew it was coming. especially with Catling knowing what the phrase are, we had to hint the phrase weren't good guys and hopefully kept the element of surprise. Okay. Michelle Fairley is very emotional for her by the end of the week. She knows it's coming and it's calm, it's a wedding. But as the week progressed, I was nervous and had to remain concentrated. But you have to remain looking fooled as well.
Bless you.
Bless you. Yeah.
Bless you. Oh, hey, Keisha.
Done?
Yeah, Michael Mickelhatton. Well, it's just like simple stuff. It's just we had this. It's very simple. It's so I was at in the makeup trailer. There's a guy there I thought was extra. He introduced himself as Will. I asked if who he was playing, and he said he was one of the musicians. I said, why'd they bring an English musician here when there are perfectly good Irishmen who could play the bowdrain, which was the type of drum he was playing. Then I asked, are you in a band? He said, yeah, I'm in a band. You having any luck? Yeah, we're doing okay. You know the punchline for this. I asked what his band was called. He said, we're called Coldplay. And I felt like such a dick.
Coldplay? What?
Coldplay, yeah.
Coldplay.
It's a
Man,
band. The band Coldplay.
Yeah, I've listened to a couple of their songs.
Yeah, Coldplay. Yeah. That's so funny.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's the drummer from Coldplay.
Okay.
That's really funny. That is really, really funny to me. Like Michael Mickelhatton said, why is this guy here? There are a bunch of perfectly good Irishmen who are able to play this. Why are you here? And then he realized, oh, it's a cameo from a dude from Coldplay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lol.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say though, Rebecca, that moth is adorable.
Yeah. No straying, dude. A traditional way to direct the dish inner sequence would be to gradually ratchet up a sense of feelings, suspense, and danger. David Nutter said the opposite approach. Viewer is initially lulled into a relaxed pace. Edmure Tully is revealed to discover that his mysterious bride is really sweet and pretty. Oh, that's cute. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Their bedding ceremony was love it, and the traditional body bedding, and newlyweds are carried off to consummate their marriage. Rob and Catelyn, having crashed out the scene, are finally getting along. Catelyn even warned up to Celissa, who offered to name her baby Eddard. Rob, Catelyn, and Talisa were coming together as a new generation of the Stark family, feeling safe for the first time and the last. They've been off. Catelyn and Rob have been through a lot. Been through the death of Ned, major falling out as she released Jaime. They managed to get through work back into a loving relationship, and he had that taken away.
How should that have been a red flag?
Well, it's basically originally they kill in the book, instead of Walder Frey's wife, she kills the simpleton grandson of Walder Frey.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, he's not in this show, I don't think.
No, Jingle Bell is not in the show. It's basically either, I forget, I think he was born very, very much on the spectrum, as much as you can say, because he's described as somebody who's just out of touch and is just not there and just kept around as basically a jester, like most people of that type were, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that partly it's just kind of a red flag where they decide, oh, we'll just kill off Walder Frey's wife. So I guess partially it's maybe like they didn't want to kill somebody with autism on screen.
Yeah, like that was their concern.
But I don't think it was. Maybe they'll
Okay,
talk about
so
it. But
they draw the line at a kid with autism, but not the pregnant lady.
Yeah, I doubt that really much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can we ask you if they had consistency?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I. Maybe they will talk about it, why they made that change. It's doubtful because they don't talk about why they made their creative decisions other than to say, well, creatively it made sense to us. It's just basically like it's impulse control problem.
It's the problem with Benioff. He's too impulsive.
These people don't have impulse control. I also really doubt that they have a filter between their brain and their mouth.
No, they don't. If you've seen Austin with Film Festival, yeah.
Well, Benioff's constantly drunk, so pretty much that filter has been erased from history.
Well, the thing is, he's not like he has a lot. He physically displays a lot of alcohol consumption, like physicality traits, especially in like the face, where like just like you kind of swell up. But the thing is, he's a nerd who's play acting like a drunken executive. Like he's not a.
Please don't call him a nerd. Please don't.
He played.
God, an insult to nerds.
He played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid and read a lot of fantasy books.
That's not being a nerd.
No, it's not. That's not being a nerd. Done.
He's a geeky kid. He was a geeky kid. He was a geeky kid in high school. And just described himself as like the runt of the litter. Like, yeah.
That's an insult to geeks too.
Yeah. It is. He's very much like betrayed. He's very much betrayed, like nerd. Like
even the nerds would bully him.
Yeah, they would. And they did. And it's had a lot of. And it seems as though a combination of like neglect in a lot of places and well, yeah, they're never accept. Yeah, because basically, like David Benioff was a victim of neglect as a kid, where like his parents are emotionally distant, and even today, his dad doesn't care about him. Like his dad just like in an interview with his dad said, "Oh, you're on that dragon show, aren't you?" Like, yeah, his dad just legit doesn't care about him. And like he hasn't cared about him since he was a teenager. He's kind of just the dilettante son who's done nothing since his dad is like he's a writer and his dad is this multi-billionaire investment banker and is like a titan of industry in his own right. And David Benioff's just this writer dude who like failed for years to do anything memorable. That's not inaccurate. His dad is his dad is basically book Tywin. And that's why he changed Tywin in the show to be
like
less of a douchebag in the book than he was in the book.
Like, wow, so David Benioff got the best dad in the world. Tywin Lannister in real life.
Oh, can I call chat? I'm sorry.
What?
Let's see. GRRM and Thrones Analyzed. So it's Lex Luthor gives us the worst writer ever.
Kind of, yeah. I guess dad is kind of Lex Luthor. His dad is Lex Luthor in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Oh, come on, Lex! Don't do that to us.
And to show off Charles Dance. Yeah, that's not inaccurate. Honestly,
that's not an opinion. It's a fact.
I honestly, I want either Charles Dance or Bryan Cranston to play Lex Luthor.
Charles Dance would make an excellent Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Though honestly, Bryan Cranston already played Lex Luthor on Breaking Bad. But yeah, let me see where. Yeah, let me see. I have it right here. Huh. This one.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
No, that's not an opinion. It's a fact.
Yes.
I love using that quote. It's
not an opinion, it's a fact.
Yeah. No,
that was me trying to argue with my friends about how terrible season 7 is.
Yeah, the movie industry needs more Charles Dance.
It's let him show off with the magnificent lion he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In good movies, not like that freaking
Godzilla.
And Gojira?
I found it fine, but I'm just like, you kind of wasted a really good actor.
Believe it or not, I wasn't even aware there was another Godzilla film coming out, because I think I heard people talk about King of the Monsters. I thought they were referring to the anime film, which was awful.
It's like it's like putting Christopher Lee in that movie.
Yeah. Well, Christopher Lee has kind of slummed it frequently. Like, he was in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake from Tim Burton.
Oh, good God.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Smud actively refuses to watch it. Like, he says, like,
I do not blame him at all.
Yeah, he's like, I am not watching. I just like, hey, come on. How bad could it be? I'm not watching that.
Yeah, and I'm the same with a couple of other movies.
Oh, yeah. King of the Monsters, Dracula Untold was pretty bad. Ghostbusters 2016, that one's. Yeah. The real Tywin would never skin a deer. He'd let a servant do it. The lion would never sully himself out. Yeah, I would actually agree with that.
It sounds like he's a man that's more than willing to let the others do the work for him.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, it kind of shows that he's hands-on and stuff was a good character moment, but it kind of doesn't make sense.
That's after every single moment afterwards, he's been just delegating the work to others.
Yeah, though admittedly, like, there's kind of some good symbolism where there's a deleted scene where he's fishing by himself just because, like, he's bored and wants something to do, like, has some spare time, so he just fishes. and it's symbolism for, like, House Tully being killed by him, just like House Baratheon is technically killed by him when he's skinning the stag. It's kind of asserting his dominance, I guess. But, yeah. And what I think is cool is just Charles Dance learned to skin a deer, or already knew how to skin a deer when he came in.
He just had to keep doing. They just had to do it over and over again. He's repeating that because they didn't get the shot right or they messed up. So he didn't reskin it and then skin it again.
Yeah, and it just looks so good. So, Michael Mickelhatton, there was a panning shot looking at the revelers. And David Nutter said, "Give me a smile." And I said, "This guy doesn't smile." He said, "Let's not give it away. Let's take the audience somewhere before we shock them."
I swear you're going to make a Joker reference there.
Let's put a smile on my face.
I never seen it. Okay. So I'm probably gonna shock you all this by never seeing The Dark Knight.
Wow.
Don't feel bad. I haven't seen it either.
My God. All right, that's it, Dad. We need to put a movie. We're going to do another movie night.
What? I'm not much of a comic book fan. I
watch the movies.
I don't really pay attention to the movies either.
Well, it's kind of like this is. Well,
that I don't know how to feel about. I don't know how to feel about the Joker.
Why?
All right. Game of Thrones.
Never seen him, so I'm just kind of neutral on him.
The Joker's not really my kind of movie either. So.
Back on topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, he was absolute. So, David Nutter, I wanted the tightest bond moment with our heroes before it began. to give the audience a sense of ease that this was a happy ending and give them hope that everything was going to turn out well. I didn't want the audience to feel like something bad was going to happen until the big switch, which actually that's smart. I think that's a very good choice because in the book you're uneasy the whole time. Like it's written like a wedding from hell where the food's bad, the music's bad, and like there's been some symbolism, like foreboding symbolism throughout the book up to that point regarding this.
Yeah, it's still a shock though.
I did see Batman Begins. I fell asleep on it constantly.
Okay. That's fine. It's totally fine. I watched that a little bit after it came out, I think 2008 or something, and I fell in love with Batman Begins. And I actually, unfortunately, did not. I read the Wikipedia synopsis of Batman of Dark Knight before I watched it because I didn't know if I'd ever get my hands on it.
My thing was that my experience through Batman was through the Arkham games, and I've only played 2. I like the Arkham Joker, and it helps that he's voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yeah, because Mark Hamill
the Prestige, anyways.
The Prestige is Christopher Nolan's magician movie. It's supposedly a movie that you need to watch twice, and it's got Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman playing rival magicians, and there's some weird science in there. So, okay, so then one of Walder Frey's sons closes the banquet hall's wooden door. Suddenly, yeah.
Okay, Hi everyone. I thought the next Batman anime series fan. Did I hear that on an earlier stream?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. There's the feeling that it's not. Suddenly, you get the feeling that it's not quite right. David Nutter. It's about touching softly, not quite hard, so it can build up even more. And the band plays Reigns of Castamere. It was introduced early in season 2. Recounts how Tywin Lannister led his army to murder every member of the rebellious House Reign. The show previously referenced the song 5 times, either played or sung on screen or discussed in dialogue. And when Catelyn recognized the disturbing wrongness of the praise band playing the Reigns of Castamere, so did the viewer. Catelyn then looked to Roose Bolton, who had a smug expression that read like, "Yeah, that's right." She followed up Bolton's eyeline to his sleeve, tugged it up, and it showed that he was wearing chainmail under his clothes. Christopher Newman, the producer, you noticed there was something animalistic about the way that Michael looked at Catelyn during rehearsal. Okay, this feels like these performances, these faces, is somewhat creeping in, but it's not David and Dan, so... It seems like the 3 guys who mainly bring that up are David and Dan.
Bob Cogman.
Cogman brings it up frequently. A few directors, most like Alex Graves brings it up a couple times, I think, but it's not frequent. So this is an instance of it. It seems like it reminded me of what. Oh, go for it, White.
I was about to say. It's like the early sparks of a fire.
Yeah. This does seem like it's an instance of it. At least I think so.
The White Dragon King.
Yes, someone finally noticed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, it was Nick that noticed it first.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yep, I didn't see.
Yeah, I was focused on reading. So it reminded me of what Robert Shaw talks about in Jaws, where the shark's eyes roll up before it bites you. So I pointed that out to David Nutter, and he talked to Michael about doing it before the shot. Okay, so this kind of... there are similar things that this has happened. I think Christopher Nolan noticed that Heath Ledger, he wasn't able to, scratch at the the prosthetics because they irritated him. So what he got into the habit of doing while he was off camera was Heath Ledger would flick out his tongue to just like the corner of his mouth and just like flick it at like to ease some of the itch. And Christopher Nolan said, "That looks really creepy. Do that on screen." But it was coupled with really solid dialogue too. But I think that in this case it works. Yeah. So David Nutter had to drag that look out of me because it was quite theatrical. That half smile glared down at her. It was like, I don't want subtlety, I want melodrama. Okay. Okay.
No, subtlety. Subtlety is better than melodrama.
I think in this case it works. Originally, I think it works in this case. I think they wanted to kind of be a little bit obvious. So the sequence is all about Catelyn. David Benioff. The sequence is all about Catelyn from the moment she pulls a Bruce Bolton's slave to the moment she dies. Okay. So while Catelyn and Roose were exchanging glances while Frey's giving a speech announcing that he had a wedding present for Talisa, what came next happened was very quickly. It happened. Losa Frey parked by Palm Book, marched up behind Talisa, and repeatedly stabbed her. Una Chaplin, beat, 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 which surprised me. It surprised me every time with gallons of blood coming out of my belly. It was quite a violent thing when somebody creeps up behind you and starts stabbing you. It was very horrendous, very little acting required. Rob looked profoundly stunned, unable to comprehend what just happened. Crossbows fired from the galleries, and the young wolf was mortally wounded. He crawled to Lace and saw her whites fade away. Una Chaplin. It was so sad, I was heartbroken. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Sir, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine.
So,
I'm actually pretty fine.
I just got done attending a wedding, the usual.
Well, essentially, like, he actually, so they had like fake blood pumped into like a thing under his shirt, and at one point it broke and stained his undershirt and his skin, so it looked like he had murdered somebody.
Hello, security. Yeah, I think it's blood here.
Yeah, I think it's I believe he rewatched The Red Wedding for I think it was Vanity Fair or something. It's something along those lines. Ooh, one thing that we need to do, we need to watch Tommy Wiseau talking about the Disaster Artist film scene. That is so weird. We'll cover that another time.
It is bullshit. I did not. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, he's talking about the scene in Disaster Artist where they're filming it, and he's just talking about it, and it's just Tommy Wiseau like weird BS out of his mouth, and it's both hilarious.
Oh my
and
gosh!
baffling.
You remind me of that clip that
still on everyone's mind to this day is where did he get the money from?
I still remember that. I was about to say, does anybody remember that clip that Dragon the Man shared? It was like David Benioff talking with Emilia Clarke, and it was like a really creepy voice. He's like, look at those faces or something.
Yeah. It was
like
no dialogue, but Lena's face.
Oh my god, that really got my skin crawling. I'm like, Jesus, if I were to show that to people, they would look at it different. Like,
yeah, I am amazed that nobody reported on it.
Can you get that clip somewhere so we can?
Yeah, I need to put it on. Yeah, I'll find it in Dragon the Man's thing. It's probably in his commentary things. So it's in Chaplin said she was heartbroken. She looked around at Richard and Michelle and the drummer from Coldplay and thought, "This is it. This is our last scene. My intention was commit to the love of Richard or Rob, but really Richard. Let's be honest." Oh, that's cute. That's so cute. They really liked each other. They really liked each other. That's cute. Yeah. They have really good chemistry, I think. What are they not? Yeah, that's a... Yeah, especially the brown women are hot. It's just...
Especially with his admitted fascination with ambiguously brown women.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really like... I don't know if it's like admitted, but it's just a consistent pattern. And when it's a consistent pattern, it's just...
It might as well be a stated fact.
Yeah. So
I'll write down in the history books, hashtag David Benioff was into obviously brown women.
Yeah.
ABW for short.
Yeah. So, David, at the moment Rob calls over to Lisa, I remember talking about to Richard about love and relationships and honesty and how much she means to him. He was really into it. He's a really tremendous actor and was hitting a home run. I remember people crying. It was the hair and makeup people. I'm a big believer that if the show is not emotionally driving you as you're making it, how can you make the audience feel the same? That's actually a good way of putting it. I like that. I thought if I can make ourselves feel something, then this will translate. So that works. I like that.
Yeah, it does.
Good point. Yeah. I thought if we make something can make ourselves feel something, then this will translate. So, David Benioff, I turned to the script supervisor after one take, and where Misha was dying, I was like, "That was a good take," and she was just bawling. It was a bittersweet thing. You're making all these people sad, but on the other hand, that's the idea. In a chaplain, I was actually crying while I was dead. The director came over. Oh no, you need to stop crying. Dead people don't cry. You're dead. Just be dead.
Ouch.
No.
That's funny.
What was that? Sorry.
Una, the director. So apparently, like Una Chaplin was crying because of the scene, and like the director had to say, "Hey, you need to stop crying. Dead people don't cry."
Oh,
crying blood. It's just a different thing.
Yeah. Christopher Newman. It's not a self-esteem. It's an anger and anguish, and there's no way anybody could overreact in that scene. Arya was so close. Richard Madden. Arya was really close to getting to Rob. It really cut him up even more. Made him really sad. With every episode, Rob's been further and further away from people he loves. With Arya so close, I think that's what really hurt, because that's what they all wanted, to get the family back together, even if it was only one of us coming back. It was really, and it made him really emotional. David Bradley, the fact that Walder stage managed the whole thing with the band, the speech, the crossbows, the Vic, the consummate actor.
Valerian.
Yes?
Echo.
Let's see. Yeah, it's true. Do you have headphones that you can plug in? Yeah, unmute yourself when you come. I'm back. Okay, so
odd.
Yeah, very odd. So he's the consummate. Yeah, he's the consummate actor, making sure that nobody could guess what he was up to. To him, this was everything he'd meticulously planned coming to fruition. I had to make sure that he was relishing it and enjoyed it. So, David Benioff, we're used to in books and movies where a main character dies. We're used to a bittersweet final moment, death speech. You don't get that there. There's no redemptive moment. It's just horror and slaughter. You want revenge so quickly, and you're deprived of that satisfaction. Catelyn quickly, desperately tried to salvage something from the massacre. She begged for Rob's life, then grabbed one of Frey's young wives, held the knife to her throat. Okay.
How about holding someone at knife point, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, no. I did not cry. I was in shock.
Yeah, because it's just like you don't really see much. You don't really you don't. It's sometimes just He's young. Show Rob should probably to a certain extent.
What's the matter for love? Show Rob.
Yeah.
Book Rob.
Yeah.
I married because I deflowered this girl. I need to preserve her honor.
Yeah. So, Michelle Fairley, at the point you're living a character for 3 years, you know it drives this person. You have to watch her whole insides ripped to shreds, watching her son be murdered. This woman is Christian, but she can't lose control. She knew she's dead, but in her mind, she wanted to be dead and get revenge as well. Because the way it's filmed, you felt incredibly ecstatic, which is powerful. the fact that she stays rooted to her spot. Her grief had to be expressed in some shape or form, and that was vocally through her face. It's brave and gutsy, and I don't give a flying crap what happens to me. George R. R. Martin. So Catelyn has the moment there to plead. It's her murder. There's also her murdering the hostage. She's not a wife, very particularly values. So in the end, her bluff is empty. So Bolton, the Lannisters send their guards and pledge the knife in the Robb Stark. Originally, it was Jaime Lannister sends his regards, which is interesting. Dan Weiss.
The only thing saying that you shouldn't have freedom.
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait.
Oh dear.
What the hell?
It's not that bad. Like we're not seeing
Why
bad
have you
stuff.
blue screen?
Not that bad. Okay, this is kind of an interesting way to put it. George gave readers a triumphant FU death with the full expletive. Okay. But it's Robb Stark's death. Roose is the one that has the great one-liner before he puts the knife in his heart. It's got all the elements of triumphant death, but it's completely flipped and it's on the wrong side and happening to someone you love. Catelyn could have released Frey's wife, but she carried through with her threat, killing her. Michelle Fairley, regarding her character, I'd lost all my children and my husband. What else did I have to live for? She'd come from an honorable family. Her whole life is about honor and doing the right thing. In some way, she's held back by honor and duty. She's constantly questioned her motives and actions. This one was one where she didn't. I'm not questioning it. I'm just doing it. I think that's incredibly liberating. There's nothing left for her. She was dead already. She wanted it. She couldn't go on. So they organized it so that Catelyn losing it at the end was the last thing they shot. We talked about how long she would stand there before a guy comes up, puts a knife to her throat. I told David, I'll start it off so she kills Frey's wife, and then it's in her moment of pure despair. She starts to lose herself. I'll just hang there and wait till you nod your head, and I'll cue the guy to come in and cut her throat. So I called action. She took the one girl out, and she's crying and crying. I look over to Benioff. She's still crying and losing it. Suddenly, David nodded, and the actor come in and cut her throat. The knife cut wasn't exactly the right positioning. It wasn't the right inch, but looked so good. Richard Madden, regarding it, we were mentally exhausted. I cried my eyes out completely, as did a lot of the crew and other actors. It was very emotional. Yeah, they were actually very. There's a clip of the commentary, both of the director, Richard Madden, and Michelle Fairley were watching it, and they were crying as they watched it.
Actually, I have a. I don't know if it's a complaint. I don't know how much of a thing this is, but the blood was flowing much too quickly in those scenes when they slit the throats.
Yeah.
It was like water, and I'm sorry, blood is
thicker than water, and it flows.
Yeah, blood is not that thin.
Yeah. I think part of that is CGI it's tough for CGI to do blood. I think that's part of the problem. So,
Jesus, just take some notes of Spartacus of all things.
You know, there is such a thing as blood packs.
It's squibs.
Yeah.
That too.
I think. Well, the thing is, it's hard. How would you get a blood pack onto a throat?
They should have used real blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have actually slit her throat.
So
no, I mean.
Yeah, it doesn't. It looks a little bit fake, but it's a little nitpick. It's a nitpick overall. It's just an aesthetic problem.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism, but it's no, never mind. I'm gonna start a nitpick. Everyone knows here what nitpick is. I might.
Yeah, it's a slight it's a slight visual problem, but it's not. It's not.
No, I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to put it on the throat.
But make it appear as if it is on the throat.
Yeah, you could put the blood pack around an arm or something.
Well, like, Well, like, you have to thread, like, a tube up to the throat. That's the problem. Like, I think that, like, it's just because, like, with, like, a stab wound on the chest, you can hide, like, a blood pump or a blood pack in, like, the clothing. But if it's on the throat...
No, I mean just to get the flow of blood correct.
I guess, like, you could, like, superimpose it. That's a possibility.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, like superimpose it in post. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the rep party was that night, but Richard had to start filming another job the next day, so he washed his blood off and got on a plane.
So come on, or you could have used a ballistics gel dummy.
Well, I think. I don't think he could have used a ballistic gel dummy. I don't think he could have done that. Like, at least, like, in
I don't know. The Mythbusters have done stuff like that.
Well, that's because Mythbusters isn't a drama show. They're a test thing.
Well, yeah, but it's not that hard to create a dummy properly.
Well, yeah.
To do that with.
Well, like, the point is basically, like, getting the actor performance more than getting it perfectly visually accurate.
When you said performance, I got triggered because of the thing that jumped in my head.
What I mean is an actual performance, not just emoting.
These performances, these faces.
Yeah.
Well, since
the P word.
since you kind of have to think about, like, the trade-offs with those two things, since you can, like, I think that it's fine. It doesn't really matter, like, whether the blood looks fake or not, because it's just blood. And ultimately more people are going to be focused on, like, the fact that, like, one of the characters that they've been following for 3 seasons is now dead. So I think that's the main thing that, like, comes across. You could, like, get a dummy, possibly superimpose it, and who knows, maybe they did it and just came out that way. So maybe it just came out that way. Since I've seen blood splatters from, like, ballistics gel dummies that had their throat slit. There are slight problems where it takes a little bit for the blood to pump out, unlike how it works in a human body. So there would be there might be some problems, but we'll see. So, Dan Weiss, they tried to call Michelle Felly afterwards. She wasn't answering. A week later, she wrote an email saying, "Sorry, I haven't been able to talk to anybody about the show for the past week because I've been show shattered." Oh, dang, that's a...
Yikes.
No, I don't think... I don't think yikes. Not necessarily. I think, like, it's a powerful emotional moment, and she was just still feeling the effects of that performance. I think that would happen to anybody. This isn't a bad thing. This is okay. This is fine. Michelle Fairley, Dan had left me a voicemail, and I did try to ring him back, but by the end of the day, I was a walking shell. Alex, great. The way it worked out was that everybody walked through the door right afterward, and it was traumatizing. And after that, we made sure, like for Joffrey's death, that the actor would have more work after their death scene. It's weird to say, David Benioff said, it's weird to say, oh, that went great, because we're not just killing characters, we're losing these actors who have been with us since the beginning. It's hard because you love these actors. Not quite these performances, these paces, but there is the fact that they are actor fanboys, and that's the main thing that drives the writing in a lot
Unfortunately.
of cases. Yes, but we'll keep going. He tried to beat himself. I tend to beat myself up when making something, says David Nutter. You remember he got into his car, went back to the apartment, and said, yeah, that's not so bad. He felt good about it. No one knew the response would be. so immense. But for a television director, it was a wonderful feeling knowing how much I affected people in the process of telling a story. It was the best gift I could ever had. So Richard Madden, David Nutter made it an operatic, epic sequence that blew you away. The shocks got you in the book, and the subtleties from the book, those little details suddenly pieced together in one big slamming action. Okay, so it's interesting. It seems as though the major successes of the show were when it was separate from them. When, like, they did some of the writing, but the main thing was they were using George, the raw text of the book, the plot points of the book, and the directors. It seems as though D&D, like, there were some times when they were on point, they were giving a lot of their effort, but then when certain crutches were taken away from them, the quality dropped. That seems...
Are you okay?
I think he's got the cough. But yeah, so George R. R. Martin.
Coughing fit.
Yeah, it's fine. So George R. R. Martin, they pulled it off correctly. They picked perhaps the most brutal scene I ever wrote and made it more brutal.
Oh, that's adorable. White.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, excuse me, but wasn't it their own choice to basically throw out books 4 and 5 completely?
Pretty much, yeah.
So why the hell did they do that?
Partially because I imagine one thing about Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons is that they are not written. It's almost like basically what happened was George split the perspectives where he has all of certain perspectives in one book, like kind of he has mostly new perspectives in book 4 and mostly old perspectives with a few new ones in book 5. And it's not told completely linearly, which creates problems in adapting it. It's a similar problem to what happens in how Peter Jackson and team had to adapt the Two Towers, because the Two Towers does not play out the same way as it does in the movie. With the Two Towers book, it's split between Frodo and Sam in the second half and Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, Merry and Pippin in the first half. And you couldn't do that. So they had to figure out like intercutting the two. So, yeah.
Okay, I think that's done for now.
Yeah. So, well, we're almost finished, I think.
Oh wow.
Okay. We're almost finished with this. Okay. So
let's see it to the end.
1, 2, 3. Just 4 pages, then we're done.
Yay!
We'll just kind of have a hop, skip, and a jump. So,
Okay.
So Dan Weiss, it's not a scene where people triumph over adversity. With Danny unleashing your dragon with positive punishment, it's a rousing F yeah moment. It's mixing up those moments and making a horrible mistake, then paying the worst possible price. If everything was gruesome and terrible all the time, you know what was going to happen, since it was always the most gruesome and terrible thing. The range of different possibilities that play out makes it more real in what the world is like. Sometimes wonderful things happen, and sometimes horrible things happen. That is an interesting point of view, because they don't do that later on. They mostly go for shock value. Most
Only
of the
shock value.
Yeah, that's interesting. They do go for some pretty gruesome and terrible things, especially in season 5 and 3.
My death was nothing more than a shock value. Fuck off.
Yeah. Michael Lombardo, former HBO program president, what could have been just a bloodbath was an incredibly moving story about betrayal and a reminder to all of us enjoying the dragons and the ride that no one was safe and the traditional tropes of fantasy television were going to be violated. So Una Chaplin said, when I was there, I wasn't seeing everything. They killed his wolf, and Arya was there. All of the things happening around it, and Michelle's scream. Then there's that silence. There's no music in the credits. It just hits you in your belly. My heart was broken. Madden pointed out that Talisa dying along with her husband wasn't just an additional shock value, but her demise was a specific storytelling reason. That's interesting that Mr. Madden is talking about it and not the writers.
I think he just made that up.
Well, possibly.
Because that whole storyline was made up. That whole bit.
Yeah. I'm coming soon, Shiny.
Phrasing.
Why did you vote for this? What do you mean by that?
You have to watch your phrasing.
Yeah, I'm.
Okay, what?
I'm coming soon. I will
Phrasing.
come soon. I will arrive soon. Happy.
Better.
I will arrive soon. And basically, what he's saying. Okay, so yeah, I will come in a moment.
Phrasing.
I don't care. I don't care. Just like I'm done. Yeah.
You indeed are.
Yeah. So, Richard Mann talked about how to Access Hollywood, he said, because it's just a full stop to the train of the story of Rob's army. It's more tragic that there's nothing left over it. There's no possibility Talisa's in hiding, going to have the baby, and one day the baby will take over as Ganor. That's interesting. Okay. I think that's a good justification. That makes sense. The subsequent scene revealed that Tywin Lannister orchestrated the killing, pulling Walder Frey's strings from the Red Keep. Tywin justified the murders by knowing the Red Wedding ended the civil war that would have cost many more lives had it continued. David Bradley, I didn't see Walder as an all-and-out villain. An out-and-out villain. I saw him a warlord, a powerful man who fought his way to the top. I imagine him as a bit of a street fighter when he was younger, and he took any rejection or betrayal personally. In his mind's eye, he had to avenge that snub. As far as he was concerned, the wild world in which he lived, which is a ruthless one, if he hadn't have done it, he would have been toast. It could have been a weakness and exploited by his enemies. That's an interesting take, because that is not... Walder Frey... I don't think that's a good assessment of Walder Frey's character, even in the book.
No,
He seems like a snake.
Yeah, he seems more like a snake, who basically just wants to horror himself into into a late grave.
That grave's gonna be pretty dang late for all things we know, because considering the fact he's nearly 90 damn years old, he'd probably be the oldest man living in Westeros by the time he's done.
Oh, he is already.
I'm surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised he's still popping out kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
impressive.
Did the gods get you with rapid fertility or something?
Yeah. So Dan Weiss, one of the things that makes the death so powerful is that they're the machinations of other characters. Yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate.
By the time he's
working you out the doghouse. Marry me, Neph.
No.
Calm down, boy. Down.
She knows.
Don't make me use that word.
Yeah.
Please don't.
With a water ball.
Yeah.
The only
one of the things. So.
No, it works on dogs too.
Yeah. In the case that it's Tywin, a character we like inspire ourselves. A monster doesn't come out of the woodwork and chop these people up. These monsters are other characters who aren't monsters, but people with their own motivations and goals. David Benioff. Tywin wasn't torturing prostitutes for pleasure like Joffrey. He wasn't a sadist. He's ruthless for sure, but there's an argument to be made that Westeros needs that ruthlessness. I don't think of him as evil. Ooh, there's the Tywin bias. Interesting.
Can you apply the same thing to Daenerys in the later seasons?
That's
just remember
very
those steps.
That's
He's ruthless, but
very
he's not a statist.
Yep.
Yeah, basically, David Benioff wants to be Tywin. He likes Tywin's realpolitik and admires that, and he would want to be Tywin and, as he puts it, dominate, which is very interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised he wants to be a monster.
Tywin is a bad person. He had his son's peasant wife that he didn't approve of raped by his guards and then thrown out.
Also even making it worse because he
had Tyrion be the last one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's only sadists are evil. Got it, Benioff. Yeah, there are different kinds of evil. Dan Weiss.
There are many types of evils.
Dan Weiss, I would call him lawful neutral.
No!
What?
I'm not sure if he's chaotic or lawful, but he's certainly not neutral.
Oh, lawful! Yeah.
I would say I would say that he is neutral evil.
Yeah. I would not agree. Tywin Lannister is not neutral or lawful.
No, I'm not sure what he is, but he's not neutral.
I say he's neutral. He's neutral evil.
Lawful. Did he actually think lawful? The Red Wedding.
No,
lawful to hospitality.
No, he's not. He's
bells?
not neutral. I'm not sure if he's
evil. Neutral.
Yeah, he's just evil.
Yeah, that's neutral evil.
He's lawful. I think he's lawful. I think he's neutral evil.
That's why I keep saying.
He's not, but he's certainly not lawful.
Yeah, he's not lawful, but neither is he chaotic. He doesn't do things. He has.
Okay.
But neither does he have.
That he's not really. He isn't chaotic. He's very meticulous and organized, but he is not neutral. Definitely not neutral.
He's nowhere. He's neutral evil because he's
just another example of
considerably it's the equivalent of everything you can consider evil.
Yeah, and he's not
neutral evil. Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the example of them not understanding the source material again,
and not understanding what the alignment system is for.
Yeah.
And not understanding maybe basic morality.
Yeah.
Nope, not that either.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, it's just lawful evil. Yeah, lawful evil I think works because lawful evil is usually characterized as, Would the
Red Wedding be considered lawful?
Well, it's he's, I think, chaotic, lawful kind of more says organized, is more organized evil. Chaotic is just
it's evil with a purpose.
Yeah.
Chaotic evil is just being, lol, I'm doing evil stuff because why not?
Yeah.
Making.
So, George R. Martin regarding...
evil.
What?
Ramsay might be chaotic evil, maybe.
Oh, yeah, and Joffrey as well.
Oh, and Bran, because he let the city burn.
Joffrey's chaotic stupid.
I think Bran's neutral evil. I think Bran is actually true neutral if we're going by Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but no, Benioff, you're wrong about him being.
Yeah, that's a weird.
Lawful neutrals are okay. Lawful neutrals are people that will stick to whatever they say just because they said they will.
I'd say that covers Robb Stark.
No. I think that's lawful good. I think that Robb Stark's lawful good, personally. Because
if he does stuff that because it's the right thing to do, then it's just because it's the right thing to do. It's lawful good.
Yeah. So, George R. R. Martin, regarding the Red Wedding, it was the hardest thing he had to write. It's 2/3 through the book, and he skipped over it when he came to it. So the entire book was done, and he only had one chapter left. So he wrote it. It was like murdering 2 of your children. When the book came out, I got a lot of emails, and I still get them saying, "I hate you. How could you do that? I'm never going to read your work again." Others say, "I threw the book across the room, and a week later, I picked it up again. It was the greatest thing I ever read." Yeah. Yeah.
Right in the series,
what can you say to someone who says they'll never read your book again? People read books for different reasons. I respect that. Some read for comfort. Some of my readers have said their life is hard, their mother is sick, their dog died, and they read fiction to escape. They don't want to get hit in the mouth with something horrible. And you read that certain kind of fiction where the guy will always get the girl and the good guys win, and he affirms to you that life is fair. We all want that at times, but that's not the kind of fiction I write in most cases. It's certainly not what Ice and Fire is. It tries to be more realistic about what life is. It has joy, but it also has pain and fear. I think the best fiction captures life in its light and darkness. And that's the end.
2 hours and 30 seconds. 2 hours and 30 minutes. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam Stephenson. Bran cannot be anything but evil considering what all he did to get the throne. But then again, season 8 is not canon.
This is true. The only thing that will happen that's confirmed by this book are three twists that are not revealed in the book. One is that Stannis will burn Shireen, Hodor, i.e. hold the door, and Bran being king at the end. Those are the main 3 things. However, the problem is the journey there. Well, for sure we know that it was an afterthought. That's fact. Like David Benioff admitted, like they originally wanted to cut it off at the moment where Dany is killed. That's where they wanted to end the show, and they realized there's a lot of political fallout. And we'll
yeah, but there is a point where the story is finished. The political fallout can be for a spin-off series or something. You don't have to do that.
Well, I think that part of it was they realized the episode was too short. That was part of it.
They still didn't have to do the fallout.
Well, it's the last 15 minutes of the episode, so it's not even they basically all that happens is they come together in a great council, and somehow, even though Tyrion is a captive, he still runs the meeting somehow and announces that Bran the Broken should be king, even though Bran the Broken has done bugger all throughout.
Why is he broken? Why is he broken? All he can do is walk. That's it. That's still as broken he is.
Well, technically, everything below the waist, including his junk, doesn't work, probably.
Yeah. So you might have to call Bran the Broken. That's a...
Yeah.
Hey, we can relate.
Who can relate?
Not a lot of dirt in this chapter, is there?
No, the only thing is basically their misinterpretation of Tywin Lannister as lawful neutral of all things.
Yeah.
No, not.
I think that part of it is just a competent. Most of it's competent directors and a competent director and actors who are talking about a very well put together scene. That's the main thing. But anyway, not a lot of dirt in this past 2 chapters. I think that's why we were able to get through it relatively quickly, is because we were able to get through 2 chapters really quickly. There's not a whole lot of bad stuff that we need to
Oh my god. Look at
that. They definitely didn't have to, but they decided to. It was rushed. They said they admitted it was last minute. And I'm just not a good choice, dude. Very, very bad choice, dude.
No, not a good choice at all.
Yeah. Final episode? He hasn't done he did a live stream about the final episode. Yeah, I think. Breakdown is 56 minutes of no dialogue.
It's just and then there's just characters walking, standing, and doing nothing.
Well, the thing is, it's not that they can't write filler dialogue. It's that they deliberately chose not to write dialogue.
Look, incompetence is something I could tolerate. Your willing negligence is not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When I was watching that, I wrote in my notes, they really don't like dialogue, do they?
No, they don't. They think it gets in the way. They legit think it gets in the way. But I think we will call it a night since I got to run to Smudcast and talk about Infinity War.
Okay.
Alrighty. Adios.
Holy shit. Okay, we're going.
Back